The moment you stop begging for acceptance, your life begins to change. The moment you choose peace over approval, you become unstoppable. Today, you will discover why protecting your peace is the highest form of self-respect and why the people who truly value you will never ask you to sacrifice it. For many people, the idea of being valuable has become tied to how much they can give away. They believe they must always be available, always forgiving, always understanding, and always willing to put themselves last. They measure their goodness by the number of burdens they carry for others. They say yes when every part of them wants to say no. They remain silent to avoid conflict. They ignore their own exhaustion because they fear disappointing someone else. Over time, they begin to mistake self-neglect for love. But your worth has never depended on how much of yourself you are willing to sacrifice. Your value existed long before anyone praised you for your kindness or relied on your generosity. You were never created to spend your life proving that you deserve love by constantly giving pieces of yourself away. There is a profound difference between generosity and self-abandonment. Generosity flows from a full heart, while self-abandonment leaves the heart empty. One strengthens you, the other slowly drains your spirit. If every relationship demands that you ignore your needs, silence your voice, or carry responsibilities that belong to someone else, it is not teaching you love, it is teaching you to disappear. The people who truly care for you will never expect you to destroy your peace just to keep theirs. They will respect your boundaries because they respect you. They will understand that your kindness is a gift, not an obligation. Healthy love does not demand that you become smaller so someone else can feel bigger. There will always be voices that tell you a good person gives everything without question. But wisdom reminds us that even the strongest tree cannot provide shade if its roots are constantly being cut. You cannot continue pouring from a cup that has been emptied by guilt, obligation, and endless expectations. Choosing yourself does not make you selfish. It makes you responsible for the life you have been entrusted with. When you honor your own well-being, you become capable of giving from a place of strength rather than exhaustion. Remember this whenever guilt whispers that you should always sacrifice more. Your worth is not earned by how much you lose for others. Your worth is reflected in the quiet confidence with which you recognize that your life, your peace, and your heart are valuable too. Peace is one of the most valuable treasures you will ever possess, yet it is often the first thing people are willing to give away. A single careless comment can ruin an entire day. One person's opinion can keep someone awake all night. An unnecessary argument, a toxic relationship, or the constant need to prove yourself can slowly rob you of the calm that your heart desperately needs. The tragedy is not that challenges exist. It is that too many people hand over control of their inner peace to circumstances and people who have never earned that power. Your peace deserves protection because it shapes every part of your life. It influences the way you think, the decisions you make, the relationships you build, and the future you create. When your mind is constantly filled with worry, resentment, or the pressure to satisfy everyone else, you lose the clarity needed to recognize your own purpose. But when your spirit is calm, you begin to see life through wisdom instead of fear. You stop reacting to every opinion and start responding with quiet confidence. Protecting your peace means learning that not every invitation deserves your acceptance, not every disagreement deserves your attention, and not every criticism deserves your response. There is great strength in walking away from conversations that only create confusion and choosing silence over unnecessary conflict. Every time you refuse to engage in bitterness, you remind yourself that your emotional well-being is worth more than winning an argument. This does not mean avoiding responsibility or pretending that life is always easy. It means refusing to allow negativity to make a permanent home in your heart. There will always be people who misunderstand your intentions, question your choices, or try to pull you into their own storms. You cannot control their actions, but you can decide whether you will carry their burdens. Think of your peace as a beautiful garden. If you leave the gate open, weeds will grow without permission. Fear, anger, resentment, and endless distractions will slowly take over. But when you guard that garden with wisdom, patience, and healthy boundaries, it becomes a place where hope, gratitude, and strength can flourish. Your peace is not something to protect only when life is easy. It is something to protect every single day, because once you realize how precious it truly is, you will stop giving it away to people and situations that were never worthy of it. One of the greatest burdens a person can carry is the constant need for approval. It is exhausting to shape your life around the opinions of others, hoping that if you work harder, speak more carefully, or become everything they expect, you will finally feel accepted. Yet the truth is that no amount of outside validation can fill the emptiness created when you neglect your own voice. As long as your confidence depends on someone else's applause, your happiness will always remain uncertain. There will always be people who misunderstand your intentions, question your decisions, or fail to recognize your value. Some will celebrate you only when your success benefits them. Others may withhold encouragement because they are uncomfortable with your growth. If you allow these reactions to determine how you see yourself, you surrender the power to define your own worth. The opinions of others are constantly changing, but your value should never rise and fall with them. Choosing yourself begins with believing that your life does not require everyone's permission. You do not need universal approval to pursue your dreams, protect your boundaries, or make decisions that bring peace to your heart. The moment you stop asking, "Will they approve?" and start asking, "Is this true to who I am?" your life begins to change. That simple shift allows you to live with honesty instead of fear. This does not mean becoming arrogant or refusing wise advice. Humility welcomes guidance, but insecurity depends on constant praise. There is a difference between learning from others and living for their acceptance. One strengthens your character, while the other weakens your confidence. The strongest people are those who listen with an open mind, but remain faithful to their deepest values. Imagine how much energy you would regain if you stopped trying to impress people who had already decided not to understand you. Think about the dreams you could pursue, the peace you could experience, and the freedom you could enjoy if you no longer carried the weight of everyone's expectations. Every step towards self-respect begins with letting go of the need to be approved by everyone you meet. When you choose yourself, you are not rejecting others. You are finally honoring the person you were created to be. Your purpose is too important to be shaped by passing opinions. Stand with quiet confidence, trust the truth within your heart, and remember that the approval that matters most is the one you give yourself when you live with integrity, courage, and self-respect. The world often defines success by things that can be seen. It celebrates wealth, titles, popularity, and achievements that earn admiration from others. Many people spend years chasing these rewards, believing they will finally feel complete once they reach the next milestone. Yet countless individuals who appear successful on the outside still struggle with anxiety, loneliness, and a restless spirit. This reminds us that true success is not measured by what you own, but by the condition of your heart when no one is watching. Inner peace is the greatest achievement because it cannot be bought, borrowed, or given by someone else. It is built through daily choices that honor your values, protect your well-being, and strengthen your character. It grows when you release resentment instead of feeding it, when you forgive without allowing yourself to be harmed again, and when you stop comparing your journey to someone else's. Peace is not the absence of challenges. It is the confidence that you can face them without losing yourself. A peaceful person is not someone who has lived a perfect life. It is someone who has learned that not every disappointment deserves endless attention, and not every setback defines the future. They understand that storms will come, people will leave, plans will change, and mistakes will happen. Instead of allowing these moments to break their spirit, they choose to remain grounded in hope and wisdom. Their strength comes from within, not from the approval of the world. There is incredible freedom in reaching a place where your joy is no longer controlled by circumstances. You stop chasing every opportunity to prove your worth because you already know it. You stop carrying unnecessary anger because you realize it only steals from your own life. You become more grateful, more patient, and more intentional with your time and energy. Your focus shifts from impressing others to becoming the best version of yourself. Never underestimate the power of a peaceful heart. It allows you to think clearly, love deeply, and live with purpose even when life becomes difficult. Long after material success fades and public recognition is forgotten, the peace you have cultivated within will continue to guide your steps. Protect it with wisdom, nurture it with gratitude, and never trade it for temporary approval or fleeting success. In the end, The richest life is not the one filled with the most possessions, but the one filled with the deepest sense of peace, contentment, and quiet confidence. Life will always offer you opportunities to trade your peace for approval. Someone will ask you to ignore your boundaries. Someone will expect you to shrink so they can feel bigger. Someone will misunderstand your silence, criticize your decisions, or question your worth. Let them. Not every opinion deserves your attention. Not every argument deserves your response. Not every relationship deserves unlimited access to your heart. The strongest people are not those who win every battle. They are the ones wise enough to choose which battles are worth fighting. Never confuse constant sacrifice with love. Never confuse people-pleasing with kindness. Never confuse exhaustion with purpose. Your peace is your responsibility. Your happiness is your responsibility. Your healing is your responsibility. The world may applaud those who give everything away, but true wisdom knows there is nothing noble about losing yourself while trying to save everyone else. Choose relationships that nourish your spirit. Choose conversations that inspire growth. Choose environments that allow your soul to breathe. Most importantly, choose yourself, not out of pride, but out of respect for the life you have been given. Because when you value yourself first, you stop settling for less than you deserve. When you protect your peace, you protect your future. When you finally realize that nothing is worth losing your inner calm, you become free in a way no one can ever take from you. Walk away from what steals your peace. Hold tightly to what strengthens your spirit. And never forget, the greatest gift you can offer the world is not a version of yourself that is exhausted from pleasing everyone. It is a soul at peace, living with courage, dignity, and quiet confidence.